Folks, let's now go to Fort Worth, where we do have some justice in the legal system. The former Fort Worth police officer, Aaron Dean, who shot and killed Atatiana Jefferson, he will be going to prison today. A jury came back, found him guilty of manslaughter. You might recall the case where a neighbor called the police to say they saw a door ajar. They did a wellness check. Two officers arrived on the scene. Dean fired a shot into the home, killing Atatiana Jefferson. This, of course, took place in 2019. He fired the shot through a window. The mostly white jury deliberated for more than 10 hours. They could have found Dean guilty of murder. He is facing up to 20 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The sentencing phase begins tomorrow. Joining me now is Erica Savage, founder of the Reframed Brain, Reese Colbert, founder of Black Women Views, Dr. Larry J. Walker, assistant professor, University of Central Florida. Reese, I'll start with you. It's, folks, he's found guilty, but not of murder, of manslaughter, which still is crazy when you had his former partner who testified that she never heard him identify himself. She never saw a gun. I mean, you see the circumstances of this, yet these juries still they cannot bring themselves to find these cops guilty of murder.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the moral victory of him being convicted of murder as opposed to manslaughter, but he's still facing 20 years. Of course, obviously, that's not enough to negate the fact that he did kill Atatiana Jefferson, who was doing nothing more than playing video games with her nephew. But I think, a win is a win to a certain degree. And as, he is seeing accountability. It's not justice and it's not restorative. But I think in this case, I'm encouraged that at least there was another way of ensuring that there was some there was some kind of accountability, because sometimes that isn't on the table. And then we just see these cops walk completely scot-free.
Yeah, and the thing for me, Erica, again, we're in this constant battle for what's right. We're this constant battle for justice. And the reason I'm making this point is because anyone looking, the police chief testified in this case that this guy violated all police protocols, all. And it still goes to show you how hard it is to get a conviction for the highest charge for a police officer. That even with all of these facts, the jury was still, we'll convict him, but not murder, manslaughter.
Yeah, and their primary mandate is to protect and kill. It's what is adorned on police cars. And so, we dig through, unfortunately, or wade rather, as I would say in this grade, weekly. And I think for me, one of the most important things around this is really to lift up some of the things that we're facing in our communities, which is really just repetitive trauma. And what I thought about in Atatiana Jefferson's case, no doubt about her and her family, I also thought about her nephew. That's a young man that was exposed to a violent, traumatic event early on in his life. And I think if that's the importance of being on a jury, right? I'm pretty sure all of us have had jury duty, but that is the importance of showing up and ensuring that we're doing all that we need to do to be present to hold people accountable. I can assure you, if in that jury pool, if the victim, the person that was executed, looked like one of their children or their grandchildren, there would be no doubt about what that conviction would look like. So I'm praying and hoping that though that this person will have to face some type of time in some type of prison facility, that young man who bore witness to trauma by someone who is, by Maslow's hierarchy of needs, one of the base needs that we all have as humans is safety, right? So I'm really hoping that all of the counseling, the professional services that he'll need, behavioral services, emotional tapping in, that he will have the ability to play and be a child, hold on to all those childlike behaviors as long as he has, especially considering he's adoring. But just really thinking about the Jefferson family and about that young man that had to bear witness to such a violent death.
I'll say this here, Larry, even with this manslaughter conviction, I hope it sends the signal to all cops. You may very well go to prison for your wrongdoing. We are now seeing, and this is, people can shout and whine and complain about Black Lives Matter all they want to, but it has been the protest of black people for the last decade that is causing this change in DAs and in juries when it comes to killer cops.
Yeah, I think you're making a really important point. And, you know, there's easily I have some research to show the highlight in terms of Black Lives Matter protests, in terms, like you said, had impacted juries in the judicial system. But Roland, as it relates to this particular case and some other cases we're going to talk about this evening and have talked about on your show, is it forces me to reflect on what it means to be black and free in America. Now, look, the jury came back with a manslaughter charge. It could have been murder. And from what I understand, the officer could serve anywhere from 2 to 20 years. So I'm thinking about the sentencing, the next stage in terms of how many years does he get. But I agree with you that there's certainly been some progress. DOJ has done an excellent job in prosecuting, various cases. But once again, what does it mean to be free and black in America? And my colleague just talked about the traumatic experiences for the young man and for that family. But also in terms of the black community, we're consistently, it almost seems like a daily basis, dealing with this violence from law enforcement. And this has been decades in the making in terms of an interaction between law enforcement and the black community. So for me personally, Roland, it's just, when does this stop? Obviously, we need to keep pushing, not only in terms of at the state and local level, but the DOJ and the Biden administration, to make sure that we're taking a critical look on these issues. And then obviously also at the federal state level in terms of having a conversation about some comprehensive reform to address police behavior. But this generally, like I said, it's a step in the right direction. We need to continue to apply the pressure. And there's still a long way to go to make sure, once again, black folks feel free in America.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.